Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the period end closing playlist, where I explain different tools and transactions we can use in SAP to make the financial period end closing faster and more accurate. In the video today, I will start explaining a transaction in SAP that can help us with the regrouping or reclassification of GL accounts, accounts payables, and accounts receivables. And this is something we have to do at the end of every period to get the correct representation of our numbers in the financial statements. For example, in our accounts payables, we have different open items or different invoices that are due within 1 year and other invoices that are due after 1 year. So we have to pay the suppliers, but we still have more than a year until the due date. And in our financial statements in the balance sheet, we should represent this different separation or this classification. So any invoice that is due within 1 year should be in our current liabilities. And any invoice that is due after 1 year should be in the non-current liabilities. And you know that whenever we post something in SAP to the supplier accounts, it always goes to the reconciliation account in the supplier. So we only have one reconciliation account for each supplier, and anything we post will go to this reconciliation account. So there is no real separation between long-term or due term when we do the actual posting, or current and non-current. So at the end of every period, we have to go and check all our open invoices, and any invoice that's due after 1 year should go to non-current assets, any or non-current liabilities, and any invoice that is due within 1 year should be in our current liabilities. This happens in the accounts payables, accounts receivables, and also in some general ledger accounts, because in general ledger we can have loans, we can have provisions. So loans and provisions, they have due dates. They should also be split by the due date, so either current assets or non-current assets. So this is one of the things the program can do. And it can also do other things. It can do other types of reclassifications. For example, it can reclassify our debitor vendors. So a vendor that has a debit balance should go to assets, and it should reclassify creditors, customers. So a customer that has a credit balance will go to liabilities, and many other features. In the video today, I will start explaining this reclassification program, and I will start with the reclassification based on due date. So how to classify accounts payables, accounts receivables, and general ledger accounts into current and non-current based on due dates. First, I'm going to start with the business concept. So similar to the overview I just did, but I'm going to give you more details. And then we are going to test this program together on SAP S/4HANA, and I'm going to use SAP Fiori. We have to get used to using Fiori now. It is an essential part of our job. So I'm going to use SAP Fiori in anything that I will do in this demo. And then last is the configuration. So I'm going to explain how to configure SAP S/4HANA to get the results that we got in the test. And during the test, I'm also going to show you the different accounting entries and so on, as usual on this channel. First, let's look into our balance sheet to understand what are the numbers that we have today. And then we can discuss what are the numbers we want to have after running the program. Then we are going to run the program together and come back to the balance sheet to confirm that we have the needed result. To display the balance sheet or the financial statements on SAP S/4HANA on SAP Fiori, I am using the application Balance Sheet Income Statement. So click on this application. And here I'm using the company code AG00 and the financial statement version AG00. For the demo today, I have prepared a very simple financial statement version that can help us understand the example. It doesn't have all the details of a balance sheet. It only has the needed accounts. So this way we can easily understand the situation that we have now. And if you'd like to test this yourself, then you can find all of this configuration already available on my SAP S/4HANA server. Anyone can subscribe to it. I will leave you a link here if you would like to subscribe. And also, if you are a channel member, you can find all the configuration steps that I did in the configuration manual. So you can also configure your system this way if you would like. So the financial statement version I'm using is AG00. Here we have the statement type normal, and the end period is our reporting period. So I'm generating my financial statements from the beginning of the year until July 2025. Our example today will be in July. So the end period is July, and then we have a comparison end period, which is July 2024. This one is not mandatory, but we have to fill it as it is a part of the layout. So we are not going to use it for anything. So I have here July 2024, and the currency is EUR. Then click on Go. And here we have all accounts, balance sheet, profit and loss, and unassigned accounts. So these are different layouts. Now let's go into balance sheet. So as you see, it's a very simple layout. I have liabilities and equity and assets. And if we open liabilities and equity and assets, you can find here current liabilities, and under assets we have current assets. If we open this, you can find more details. So in the assets we have receivables and we have provisions, and in the liabilities we only have the payables. Very simple layout. And if we go into receivables here, we can find the different GL accounts. So I only have domestic customers in my system posted, where the account is 140,000, and this is the balance that we have. So the period balance is 403,250. And if we go into provisions, we can find asset provisions. This is the account number, and the value is 150,000 EUR. And the same for payables. If you go here, you can find the GL account for domestic vendors. As you see, we don't have any non-current assets or non-current liabilities currently because we have not done any reclass yet. And this layout only displays the accounts that have balances. So any account or any part of the tree that doesn't have a balance will not be displayed here. To explain this more, let's go, for example, into the period 6, 2025, where I already did the reclass. So if I go here to 6, 2025, click on go, you can see here that we have current and non-current. So this is the actual layout. It has current, non-current, but because we don't have any non-current liabilities or assets in July yet, we don't have this displayed. So the objective that we are trying to achieve here is to split our, so let's go back to July. The objective we are trying to achieve here is to split our current assets and our current liabilities into current and non-current based on the due date. So anything that is due within 1 year should be in the current assets and the current liabilities, and anything that is due after 1 year should be in the non-current assets and non-current liabilities. And let's assume that we don't have any transaction SAP to do this. So if I would like to do this manually, and there are many people who do this today because they don't know this program. It is very easy to configure, and it is one of the standard programs in SAP S4HANA and also in SAP ECC, by the way. So anyone can use it, the reclassification program. So if you don't know about this program, the way you are going to do this manually is to display all the open items of general ledger accounts, all the open items of accounts payables, and all the open items of accounts receivables, and you will start manually in Excel doing some filtration in order to get all the items that are due within 1 year and all the other items that are due after 1 year. You see, this is a very long practice, and it has a lot of probability for doing mistakes because it has human intervention and it takes a lot of time. All of this can be done automatically with one click using the reclassification program. So the objective is that after we use the program, SAP is going to split the current liabilities and assets into current and non-current, and we can confirm the result. So the first time we run the program, we can actually compare it with our manual records that, as I just explained. So we extract the open items manually, we do the practice manually, and to compare the result with the program. So in order to proceed, let's go back into the SAP Fiori Launchpad. So now we were here in the balance sheet income statement. The Fiori application we can use to do the reclassification is this one, Regroup Receivables / Payables. So this is the application we can use to regroup accounts receivables, accounts payables, and general ledger accounts. This is a standard Fiori tile, so it is available to everyone using SAP S4HANA. If you don't have it, if you cannot find it, then it means it's missing from your user ID. So you need to add the authorization, and also maybe you need to activate the services in your SAP system. I have already explained all of this in the SAP Fiori overview playlist, so you can check the playlist if you'd like to understand more. But the important thing for you to know is, again, this is a standard tile and it doesn't require any additional licenses or anything. Only you have to add it to your user and you have to activate the service. So the tile is Regroup Receivables / Payables. And also to get all the details about the tile, you can check the Fiori apps library. So if I go into the tile, and let me open it in a new tab, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to start the application that can show us the open items in general ledger accounts. So this will show us all the open items in the provision general ledger account and the due dates, so we can compare the result after we run our reclassification program. So this is the application I'm going to use, display line items in general ledger. So open in a new tab. And now let's switch to display line items in general ledger. Here I'm going to insert the company code AG00. We have the ledger and we have the open on key date. So this will show us all the open items that are open on 7th of July 2025. Then click on go. And here we have all the different accounts. So the account we are interested in is the assets provision. So this one, let's open the line items. And here you can see the different open items we have in this GL account. We have the posting date. And in order to show the due date, you can show it from the layout here. And I already have a layout that has the due date saved into it. So if I check here, I have SAP due dates. So this will show the due date. Now let's go again into the GL account. Here we have the posting date and the due date. And the balance we have today in the GL account, 150,000, is because of these 4 lines. We have one line that is due in 2026, so December 2026. Another that's due in December 2027. And both of these are due after 1 year. So they should go to the non-current assets part in the balance sheet. Here we have 40,000. So 10,000 plus 30 is 40,000. And then we have a line that is due in 2025. So this is within 1 year. It should stay in the non-current, in the current assets as it is today. And the last one is due in 2027. This one should also be reclassified into non-current assets. So the total that should go to non-current assets from our account here is 10,000 plus 30, which is 40,000, plus 70,000. This gives us 110,000. So we should have 110,000 provision in our non-current assets and 40,000 provision in our current assets. Today, all the 150,000 is shown in current assets, as we have seen in the balance sheet. Now let's switch to the reclassification program and proceed. So go here to the other tab for the reclassification program. So again, this application is called Regroup Receivables / Payables. And as you see, it launches a standard SAP GUI screen, but this is inside SAP Fiori. And then here we start with the company code AG00. And then we have the balance sheet key date. So when would you like to run this transaction? I would like to run it for the month of July. So here it will be 31st/07/2025. And then we have the sorting method. This is something that we do in the configuration. So the sorting method I'm using is AG00. And the valuation area is Z1. Now, first tab we have here is postings. Then we have selections, parameters, and output. In postings, we have generate postings. So this will actually be a productive run, which means the program will actually post the accounting entries. When we are testing, or if I want to just see the report without posting any transactions, so like a test run or for reporting, then we do not check this one. So I'm going to leave it empty for now because I want to see the results before I actually do the postings. And then we have use batch input instead of ECS. So ECS is error correction system. It is something that we can see in finance in different programs that we run in period end closing, which means that whenever an error happens while the program is running, if it is not able to post any specific postings because the period is closed, for example, or something is wrong in the system, then it will generate a record in ECS. And then you can go to ECS and treat this record. The other option is that you do in batch input, which means you can run it in a batch, which you can see and correct live, or you cannot run it in the background. And this is the option I'm going to use here, so we can see with our eyes how the program is actually doing the postings. So I will click on use batch input instead of ECS, but in your actual live system, you can do either. If you are using ECS, then go ahead. For me, for the demo, I'm going to use batch input. And then we have the document type. So this program is going to post some accounting documents to do the reclassification. So this is the document type of the postings that will happen. Here we have the posting date. So any posting that will happen will be with the date of the end of the period, 31st of July, and the posting date and the document date. And then also the program generates a reversal posting. So here is a very important part about the concept of what we are doing. We are not actually going to touch the actual open items that we have in customers and suppliers. These are invoices or even GL accounts. These are actual postings that should remain there. We're not going to change anything. What we are trying to do is to have a balance sheet that shows current and non-current at the end of the period. And then in the beginning of the next period, all of these entries should be reversed. They are not real entries, they are only there for adjustments to have the correct representation in the financial statement at the end of July. But in the 1st of August, all of these entries should be reversed. And then end of August, we are going to run the program again. SAP is going to check again, post again these adjustment entries, and reverse them in the first day of the next period, and so on. So this means that when we run the financial statement at the end of each period, we're going to get the current and non-current. But first day of the next period, all of this is reversed because it is not a real posting. And the second thing is, we are not posting anything to the actual customers or vendors or GL accounts. We are only posting to adjustment accounts that will adjust the numbers in our balance sheet. So this is just to show correct balance sheet. It does not impact the actual real GL accounts. And this is very important because the actual real GL accounts or customers or vendors, these are actual business transactions that are still open. No one should touch them until they are cleared. So no one is going to touch the actual entries. We are posting adjustment entries to adjustment GL accounts that are in the same places with the other accounts in the financial statement. I'm going to show you this when we go to the balance sheet. So whenever we run this program, it will generate two postings. One posting to do the adjustment at the end of the period, and one posting to reverse the adjustment in the beginning in 01 of the next period. So here we have the posting date and we have the reversal date. And then we can now switch to the second tab, go to selections. And in selections, we can choose if we would like to run the program for all the different accounts. So for all the customers, vendors, and GL accounts, or if you want to run only for customers, only for vendors, only for GL accounts, only for a specific customer. So we can choose anything we want. I can say that I want to reclassify only a specific supplier or a specific customer or a specific reconciliation account. So if we want to reclassify only some customers that have a specific reconciliation account or some vendors that have a specific reconciliation account, we can do this here. We can also reclassify based on the GL account number. So we choose a specific GL accounts. For example, let's proceed now with our asset provisions GL account, which is 113000. So now I have selected the GL account. I do not have to insert any other selection criteria. Since I only selected this account, then SAP is only going to process this account. We can also choose to reclassify GL accounts with ledger-specific open item management. This is a very specific thing. So if you have ledger-specific open item management selected in any of your GL accounts, then you can also reclassify these accounts if you check this checkbox. I'm not going to get into the details of ledger-specific now, but I can explain it later. But anyway, if this is something that you use, then you can reclassify these accounts by checking this checkbox. And then we can go to parameters. Here we have different options that I'm not going to explain for now. So this is actually the idea of this playlist or of this part of the playlist, that I'm going to first show you the overview of the transaction, how to use the basics, and then we can get into different details in the program if you are interested. So also leave me your comments. Let me know if you want me to explain these different optional grouping options. So these are optional, but I can explain them if you want to know what is the use of having this. If you find that this is an important program, you would like to know more about it, then leave me a comment and I will explain more details into this, okay? So here we have the other parameters, change a recon account. This is very important, and this is something I will explain also in the future in this playlist. And then we can go to output. So output is to display a log. So this is automatically checked that whenever you run the program, a log will be displayed. You can also choose to save the log. And if you save it, then you can go to the log list in the future and you will see the history, or you will see the actual report that was generated when you did the run last month, for example. I find this very important. So I personally recommend that anyone that runs the program checks save log. So this way, whenever you run the program, the log will be available in the log list. Otherwise, you will see the log once you run the program, but once you exit, it will be gone, it will be deleted, and you will not be able to see it again. But if you save the log, then every month you can see the history of what you did last month, for example. And then you can also choose a log name if you want. So you can say test123, or you leave it empty and it will take a default name. Anyway, it will be next to the date of the run, so you can always know that you did the run at this date. And now let's go back to postings. As you see, I have not selected generate postings, so no actual accounting entries will be posted for now. What I will do is click on execute, and this will show me the report of what SAP is going to do if I actually do the postings. And now, as you see here, we have our GL account, but we also have different customers. We only wanted to see our GL account, right? So let's get back and adjust our selection. So I'll go back to selections. I have inserted the GL account here, but I have left this empty, the account type. This is why SAP is showing only this GL account and all the customers' vendors. If I want to see only this GL account, then here I'm going to insert S. We can also insert multiple options if you want. So we can say S and D. S is for GL accounts, D is for customers, and the K is for vendors. Now I'm only inserting S to see our GL account, and let's click on execute again. So now we only have our GL account as you see here, and SAP is showing the 4 different line items that we saw in the display line items. So if I switch here to display line items, you see we have 4 entries, and in the 4 entries we have different due dates. All of them have the same journal entry. I know there are people who look into the details, and I like this. So you'll find that all of these have the same journal entry because I only posted one accounting entry, and in each line I inserted a different due date. So one accounting entry with 4 different lines of the GL account, and in each line I inserted a different due date. So this is why it is showing all of them are in the same journal entry, but the due date is on the line level. So each line can have its own due date. That's why we have this. So we have 4 lines with 4 different due dates. And if you look here in the reclassification program, this is what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And what SAP did is it separated them into short term and long term. So we have less than 12 months and we have more than 12 months. As you see, it's a very simple report to understand. And in the short term, we only have 40,000, while in the long term, we have 110,000. So the total is 150,000, same as we have today, but it will be split into long term and short term. Let me open the balance sheet so we can just compare these together in real time. So I'm going to open again the balance sheet that we saw at the beginning of the video. Assets, current assets, provisions. So the total we have here is 130, for 113, we have total of 150,000. And if you look here in the reclassification, the total is 150,000, but it will be split. Now, if I want to see the postings that will happen if we run the actual run, because until now there are no accounting postings, we can click on postings. And here, these are the different accounting entries that will be posted. So SAP is creating different accounting entries for the different open items, and it is grouping them in certain ways. For example, if the profit center is used in your system as used as document splitting characteristic, then the accounting entries will be split based on the profit center. Here in my example, SAP has created one entry for 110,000. So the 3 lines that will be in non-current, and that's created another entry for the 40,000. So the one line that will remain in current. And as you see here, we have 2 entries, and then we have 2 other entries. These are for the reversal. So we have 2 adjustment and 2 reversal. The adjustment entries are at the end of the period, so 31st of July, and the reversal accounting entries are at 01 of the next period, so 01 of August. And here you have the different amounts and so on. So these are the accounting entries that will be posted. Now let's go back and actually post them to see the impact in our balance sheet. So this same example that you saw here applies to accounts payables and accounts receivables also. But I'm using this GL account because we have limited number of lines, so it is easy to analyze. Now let's go back and click on generate postings. Then execute. So now again we have the same report, nothing changed. And this time actual postings happened, or until now they have not yet actually happened, but a batch input session has been generated that we can run to do the postings. So until now, nothing happened yet, no postings. If I want to go into the batch input sessions, we can go here to menu, then go to system, services, batch input sessions. And here we have the different batch input sessions that are generated in our system. And you see the last one here is it's created by my user, and the session name is FAGLCLREGR, and it has this white paper mark, which means it is not yet processed. So nothing has been posted. We have the date of generation, we have the time created by, and so on. In order to process the batch input session, you select it and then click on process. And here we have different options. So either we do it in foreground, which means that SAP is actually going to post the entries in front of us. We only have to press enter. Or we can click on display errors only. So SAP is going to do it in the background, but if there is any error, it will show it to me real time. So if it finds any errors, it will pop up and tell me there is an error here that I can correct manually during the run. Or we can do a background run, which means that if anything goes wrong, you'll not be notified, but you can go into the log later and see if everything was posted or not. And if anything is not posted, then you have to adjust it manually or so on. So I recommend, if you have the time, to do it in display errors only. So this way you actually correct any errors live instead of having to redo things in the future or do manual adjustment entries or something if something is not going well. So, and for me now, I'm going to do it in process foreground. So this way we can actually see what happens when SAP is doing these postings. So choose foreground, click on process. And here, as you see, SAP started posting. So it started a transaction where it posts. This is very similar to the manual postings transaction. It is as if I am the one who is doing the posting, but SAP is showing me what's happening. So here we have already the GL account number filled, the posting key, everything. You just press enter. So you see SAP is automatically filling all the details. So here we have the document date, posting date, type, period, and so on. Press enter again, and so on. We have the amounts, description, everything is filled automatically. You just press enter. And if there is any error, SAP is going to show an error message and you can correct it live and continue. So here we don't have any errors so far. Just press enter. Enter. So this is the batch input processing. It's not something that is unique to the reclassification program. You can actually create batches for different things in SAP, and this is how you manage batches anyway. So you can run them in the foreground, just press enter and watch, or you can do this in display errors only. So SAP is only going to pop up a message if there's an error, or you do it in the background. I can also create another video specifically explaining how to manage batch input sessions if you would like, because there are some tricks that you can use in order to restart a transaction, skip a transaction, or if the screen is you're not able to proceed because of an error, then what should you do, and so on. So if you would like to know more about this, also leave me a comment, and I will create another video only explaining how to manage batch input sessions for end users. So let me know in the comments. So I will continue pressing enter. SAP is posting until we are done. So enter. And the processing of the batch input session is completed. Now we can go back and switch back to our balance sheet. Then click on go again to refresh. Now if I display assets, as you see now we have current assets and non-current assets. If we open current assets, we have provisions for 40,000. And we have non-current assets provisions for 110,000. So the only thing that happened after running the program is that we moved a part of the balance from current to non-current. If you look into the different accounts here, you see our original account is 113,000. So this is the original one. And it still has 150,000. Nothing changed here. But we posted a reclass asset clearing of negative 150,000. So we took the whole balance off. And then we posted a debit asset provision due in less than 12 months of 40,000. And the rest we moved into asset provision due in more than 12 months. So these are clearing accounts that I have defined and configured to use in this process. So nothing happens to the actual account. Asset provision, nothing is posted there. But we post to adjustment accounts only to have the correct representation in our balance sheet at the end of the month. And then this is reversed automatically beginning of August. So when we run the next period, nothing is there. And the next period we do the same run and so on. So this is the concept for AP, GL, and AR of how we can reclassify open items based on the due date into current and non-current. So today we have seen how to use the Regroup/Reclass application on SAP S/4HANA 2023 using SAP Fiori to reclassify our open items in accounts payables, accounts receivables, and general ledger accounting into current and non-current based on the due dates. We also understand that the program does not post anything to the original accounts, but uses adjustment accounts that are located in the correct places in the balance sheet to correct our financial reporting. In the next videos in this playlist, I will continue explaining more details about the regroup/reclass program. I'm going to explain other options, other features, and other uses for this program, and I will explain also the configuration. So do not hesitate to leave me a comment if you have a question or if you want me to explain anything. And if you would like to test this program by yourself, then it is fully available and configured on my AG SAP S4HANA server. I'm going to leave you a link here to subscribe if you would like to try it by yourself. And I would like to share with you that I currently have more availabilities for the coaching sessions. So if you would like to book a session with me to discuss anything related to interviews or career situations, or if you would like to ask questions about freelancing and the freelancing rates, then do not hesitate to book a session from this link here. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also check the channel membership program to get access to the member exclusive videos, documents, and our private Slack community. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again in the next video.